Hi, thanks for joining me. This is Angie at Chicken Scratch. These are the 4 projects that we're making for the sweet ice cream class. We have a 3x3 card tote. Comes with 4 cards, 4 envelopes, a little treat bag, and then 2 fun fold cards. Okay, so I hope you enjoy the video. It's rather long, but super cute projects. Okay, so this is the project we're gonna make now. This is our little gift bag. We're using Pear Pizzazz and the Designer Series paper, and then we've got our scallop oval and our regular oval. Now this might be a little challenging to stamp on, so use some of your extra white and then cut it with your die cut if you want to. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do first, is actually stamp this, and if I can't make it work, then I've got my basic white here to stamp it again. Pretty good. Okay. We're going to turn that over and add some liquid glue to the back. And set that aside. Now we're going to take our Pear Pizzazz cardstock. We're going to place it on the 11-inch side, and we're going to score it at 1/2 inch, 1.5, 2.5, 5 3/4, 6 3/4, and 7 3/4. Turn it on the portrait side and score it at 2. Okay, so we're going to fold on the score lines and then burnish it with our bone folder. Now, that's how it looks. We're going to take our scissors and do some cutting. So this 1/2 inch strip here, we're going to remove this bottom section. Okay, just like that. Now we're going to come over here and cut up to that score line. And we're going to do the same thing here and the same thing here. Now we want to trim these 2 tabs. We're going to add some adhesive here. Okay, I'm going to take my tear and tape. I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool to remove the backing. Fold that over. Now that is the back of my bag because it has the seam. So that makes this the front. So I'm also going to put tear and tape on this piece. Now I will give you a little tip. I like to add a little bit of adhesive on the back panel too, but that doesn't have to be the tear and tape. So I'm just going to put, well, let me get it started, a little bit of my Stampin' Seal Plus. So I'm going to fold that over, keeping this nice and straight. Fold that down. And now we're going to remove the backing, okay? That kind of keeps everything straight. If you've ever assembled a box and it kind of shifted and it looks a little crooked or cattywampus, that's the reason, okay? So here is our little gift bag. Just squeeze in the sides. So it's a nice size. The height is 5.5 inches, okay? We're going to take our Designer Series paper and add some liquid glue. Use your favorite adhesive. I like this because it gives you some wiggle room If you put it down crooked, you can shift it before it dries. That's a perfect example. Except I made it worse. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to take a clever clasp. Don't ask me to say that 3 times. We're using a silver one this time. We're going to leave this open because it has some of the ice cream sprinkles. So I'm going to hold it closed with this. And then we're going to get our greeting here. I've got my other take your pick tool. I have 2 of them. This one I keep for the pokey, and this one for the putty on the end. So we're going to add a blue one, I should say Pool Party, and then Purple Posy, and then I don't know, Terracotta Tile or Calypso Coral, whatever one you want. Now I'm going to get myself this little tool here to hold this down. So I'm going to get some liquid glue. You can see leftover liquid glue. I'm going to put the middle one down first. So the Purple Posy one. Okay, so I'm just going to give that a second to dry. Okay, so now we're going to add the tulle ribbon along with the linen thread, and I'm just going to tie a bow. Just a reminder, this tulle ribbon is retiring, sadly. It is my favorite. I think we've had it for about 3 years now, so y'all probably have already bought it. If not, it is retiring soon. Okay, there's that. Now I just add this to the clip with a glue dot. Some people have said that they do use their liquid glue to do that. I never have. I like glue dots. They're super affordable. You get a bunch of them. One box lasts forever. Okay, there's the ribbon. Whoops, let me put it back. So you got to make sure you get it attached to the silver. So it's probably best if you take it off the bag. There we go. So now I know it's stuck. Now for this, you can punch a hole if you want and add it with ribbon. I actually like just adding it up here at the top and holding it with the clasp. If you don't prefer that, like I said, you can take this linen thread, punch a hole with your 1/8 or 1/16 hole punch, and punch a hole to hold it. But I like it just free. Okay, so here's the original. Here's the one we just made. Super cute, right? Okay. Okay, so this is the card we're making now. You slide off the belly band and then open it up. So here's all of our layers here. We've got Bermuda Bay for the base of our card and our belly band, and then our circle. And then we've got the basic white, and then these are our layers for the cards. We've got these 2 and these 2, and then we're going to be cutting out the cone with this. So let's go ahead and do that. I like working with smaller pieces so that way I waste less of the paper. So here's our cone, and now let's do our stamping. We're going to be using the Stamparatus. I found it's a little bit easier to use because each of these are going to get stamped with their color, and then we have to punch them out with that same punch. So Bermuda Bay, Blackberry Bliss, and Terracotta Tile. And I have 3 pieces here actually because I've found it's a little bit easier for doing this video to use 3 separate pieces of paper, okay? So here's my Stamparatus, And we're going to start with the Bermuda Bay. So I'm going to put my magnet on here. I'm going to put an ink pad under here so that that holds it in place. Hopefully I said that right. Okay, so Bermuda Bay. Now you can stamp off if you want. Before we close it, we're going to go ahead and add our sprinkles. Okay. I'm going to take the punch and line that up and cut it out. So if you wanted to stamp your cone instead of cutting it out with the paper, you could. I'm going to take my Simply Chamois and I'm going to wipe off the Bermuda Bay. Next, we're going to stamp with terracotta tile. So I'm going to put my paper down. Well, I was going to say you could stamp off if you want, but I like how it leaves it not perfect, so it works out. Clean off the Bermuda Bay on the sprinkles. And when you're doing the sprinkles on this one, you want to make sure you do them towards the bottom because they don't necessarily get seen. Because well, when we look at the card again, that'll make sense for you, okay? Same thing, we're going to clean this off. I'm going to cut this out. Now for the Blackberry Bliss, I am actually going to stamp off. So I'm going to ink it up, stamp it, get my basic white layer, and then stamp. Okay? That's a really bright color, so it's best to stamp off for that one. Now let's do the sprinkles. So we're done with the Stamparatus. I'm just going to clean it really quick before I remove it. And take the punch. So we're using You're So Cool with Early Espresso. Okay, so for the greeting, we're just going to trim to the left and to the right, and then set that aside. This is the inside piece of our card, so we're going to stamp Happy Birthday on that. We're going to score this at 1.5, 3.5, 7.5, and 9.5. You do want your bone folder, so you're going to fold on each of those score lines and then burnish with your bone folder. So let's add our Designer Series paper. So this is going to go here. I'm just going to use the liquid glue. Now we're going to add these to the front. And you want to add your Designer Series paper before you add the belly band. You also want to add your inside layer also before you add it, because each one of these layers adds more to the card. And if you do the belly band before, it may not fit afterwards. So add all your paper before you do the belly band. And now we're going to add this to the inside, okay? This bundle is carrying over to the new catalog, so if you purchased it for my Chicks and Crafts event, my bingo event, you will get to continue to use it because it is sticking around. Now the paper sadly is retiring. I never understand why the paper retires when the stamp set sticks around, but oh well, it is what it is, right? Okay, so we're ready to add the belly band. We're gonna start here in the middle and then fold. I'm gonna take it off there, use my bone folder to burnish it, put it back on here, and then fold it. Make sure this is straight, and then fold. And that should meet right in the middle. And don't get it too tight, because if you get it too tight, then you won't be able to slide it off your card. Okay, so again, I'm going to take that off. Now, where to put your adhesive. We're just going to add a little bit right there on that edge, okay? Not too much because you don't want it to leak out onto your card. That's the great thing about the liquid glue, is it gives you some wiggle room. Okay, so we're just going to hold that for a second. So we're going to add liquid glue to the back of our circle, our stitch circle. Sadly, these dies are retiring. Not real sure how I'm going to exist in the paper crafting world without them. I use them on almost every project that I make. Now this is going to get attached to the front, and I'm just going to put 2 dimensionals. So our dimensionals are going to go here, okay? And then we're going to add the circle. So just peel the backing off and place that in the middle. Now we're ready to build the ice cream. So my advice would be to put your greeting where you want it. Oops, I just noticed that's a little bit crooked. Now you can always add your greeting down here. Feel free to do that. Change this card up however you want. If you want to assemble it just like mine, I like adding the greeting first. Then that way I know how much I need to angle the ice cream. And that's a little too much glue. But you don't want it to exceed past the side of the card, or then it wouldn't fit in the envelope, okay? There's that. So we're going to turn this over and add some liquid glue just right up here. Again, not too much. And line it up with that center line. Okay, like that. Then we're going to take the, I'm looking for my Blackberry Bliss one, there it is. So we're going to start with this one, and we're going to add glue. Hold that down. This one's also going to get added with liquid glue. And this one I like to pop up just a little bit, but not a lot. So I'm going to take the little mini dimensionals and put that on the back. You can use liquid glue for all of them if you prefer. Now we're ready for our linen thread. So I'm going to take 2 pieces. Whoops, come here. Okay, so we're going to just tie a bow with the linen thread. I know I already said the name, but I just want to make sure I say it again, just in case. This does come in the swag bag. So we're going to add it down here with a glue dot. And then after we add this, we'll add our little embellishments. So I've got the glue dot there. I'm just going to squeeze it to make it a little bit smaller. And then add it down here. Okay. Now for our embellishments. So we're going to use some liquid glue again to add the little sprinkles. I'm going to take one of the pool parties and add that up here. And then a purple posy. If you got the swag bag, these were in there. If you are making this at home and you didn't get the swag bag, you can use pearls, you can use rhinestones, you can use anything you want. You don't have to use the sprinkles. This product was in that suite, so I used it. I don't normally always use all the embellishments. The pool party one's a little defective. It's a little crooked. Oh well, it'll be okay. Okay, so there you have it, both of them. Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is the card we're gonna make. Opens up just like that and closes just like that. Here's the supplies. We've got our designer series paper. We've got Bermuda Bay cardstock, basic white, Daffodil Delight. So let's go ahead and do our stamping. We're going to stamp on these 3 pieces, okay? Everything else we'll move aside. Okay, so we're going to start with the Early Espresso, and we're going to stamp the greeting. This is from the Itty Bitty Birthdays. Okay, set that aside. Okay, we're ready for the popsicle stick. I'm going to take a scrap piece of paper here. Here's the popsicle stick itself. I'm going to stamp off, and then I'm going to stamp it here at the bottom. It might not be far enough to the bottom. Whoops. And I don't need to stamp off on that one. I'm going to take this one here, and I'm going to stamp it on top of that. And then I'm going to come over it with this one. Okay, that's how it looks, okay? I will tell you, this right here is the most challenging of the entire class. And as you can see, it's not perfect, but our linen thread's going to cover that up. Now we have one more stamping to do, and that's on the inside piece. So we're using the Early Espresso. Whoops. This layer is going to get added to this layer. So I'm just going to turn this over and add some liquid glue. The designer series paper actually comes with the popsicle paper, and you can fussy cut the popsicle out and it's beautiful, but I chose not to go that route. So we're going to add this one to that with liquid glue. And then same thing, we're just going to add this to the Bermuda Bay. I'm going to take 2 pieces of the linen thread and get our ribbon added. It kind of covers up that little gap that we have. You could use your Stamparatus if you want to stamp it. That way you could get it perfect. Okay. just trim this a little bit. And we're gonna add it with a glue dot. And we might trim the tails a little bit more in a few minutes. See how that covered up the gap? So you'd never know, right? Now we need to finish our card base. So let me get this stuff out of the way. You're gonna score it at 2, 4, 8, and 10. Okay, so we've just scored this at, well, I gave you the measurements. So now we just want to fold and burnish with the bone folder. So now what we're going to do is we need to make a couple tick marks at the 2.5 inch mark so that we can cut our paper from this corner down to the 2.5 inch. Okay, so I'm going to get my ruler and I'm going to make a tick mark at 2.5 inches. That's 2.5. And then we need to do it on this side as well. And this one's going to be super challenging because of the lines. Okay, now we're going to get the paper trimmer. And we're going to place this score line here in the track and this tick mark in the track, okay? So here and here, and we're going to cut. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. So line up the score line there and the tick mark here and cut. Okay. Now let's burnish with our bone folder. Okay, see? Now, what's going to happen is we're going to attach this piece to this just like that. So we're going to put liquid glue here. And you want to center it on this Bermuda Bay layer as best you can. And then this is going to get added inside here. Just open that up. The paper's so busy I can't see where I'm putting it, but I'm not complaining. I like the paper. Now for this image, you want to only add adhesive to this side, the left side, okay? And then this is going to go down here. Okay, regular dimensional. Add this down here. Silicone craft sheet, liquid glue. I've got my take your pick tool, and I'm going to pick up one of the daffodils. And then one of the terracotta tile. And then one of the pool party. Okay, there's that card. Opens up just like this. It's a fun card, right? Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is the little card tote that we're about to make. It's just like that, so it holds 4 of these little 3x3 cards. If you're getting the class packet, yeah, you can make 4 of these. You can actually make a whole lot more, but your supplies will include everything to make these 4. We're only going to make one of the cards in the video though, because they're all made exactly the same. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to do the stamping first. So we've got the Treat Yourself. We're going to be stamping that with Early Espresso ink. Okay, we'll set that aside to dry now. Oops. And let's go ahead and stamp the this little piece here. Okay, so we're going to use the Happy Belated Birthday. Who doesn't need that stamp, right? Set that aside. Now we're going to take the punch with the Designer Series paper. We're going to cut out the cone part, and then we're going to cut out the ice cream part. Okay, so there's our 2 pieces. Now you can stamp them, but the paper is also really nice, and it gives this nice, you know, 2 different colors. So we're going to start with this piece of paper, and we are going to get our scoring tool. I'm going to place it on the 8-inch side, and I'm going to score it at 3 inches on both sides. Then on the 7 1/4 side, I'm going to score it at 2 inches on both sides. Okay, set that aside. Then I'm going to take this piece, and I'm going to score it at 1, 5 1/2, and 10. I'm going to make a tick mark at the 3-inch and the 8-inch, and I want to do that on both sides. Okay, so 3 and 8. Now turn it on the portrait side and score it at a 1/2 inch on both sides. We're going to start with this one. We're going to fold and burnish with our bone folder. We're going to take our scissors, cut up. This is the perfect little card tote. Now we can't mail the 3x3 cards. The post office has minimum requirements when it comes to sizes. So you can't mail a 3x3 card, but it's a great gift enclosure card. Okay, so we're going to take our adhesive, put it on the 2 tabs, fold that in, and then fold this over. So I'm going to take my liquid glue. Actually, you know what? Let me use a faster adhesive today, or this time. So I'm going to use my Stamp and Seal. I'm just going to use it on the tabs. And then I'm going to use my liquid glue. You can use your tear and tape if you want to. It's definitely, well, I don't know if it's quicker. I think liquid glue is quicker. After you get the hang of it, right? Now this side. Once you fall in love with liquid glue, you'll always love it. You just have to learn how to use it. It didn't even take me 21 days. They say it's always that it takes 21 days to either break a habit or form a new habit. It actually didn't take me 21 days. Okay, we're going to set this one aside now, and we're going to work on this piece here. So we're going to fold and burnish on the score lines. Now, see where these tick marks are? We're going to cut. We're going to cut on this score line, where that tick mark is. Now, let me show you how that's going to look. Okay, so don't let it confuse you, okay? So we're going to remove these 4 corners. Uh-oh, Bella hears me in here. On both ends. Okay, so what we're going to do now is that this is going to fold like this. So this is going to set inside of our box. So we want to add our oval cutouts here for our handle. Okay, so I'm going to open that up and we're going to put the oval die, which sadly is retiring, right there to cut out our handle. So we need to get our cutting and emboss machine. Okay, so we're going to start with this side first. And we're just going to lay that there. And I'm making sure that it's centered on the left and the right as best I can. So now we want to line that up. So what I'm going to do is take this circle, put just a dab of glue on it. Just enough to stick. And I'm going to place it right where it got cut out, okay? Just like that. And then what I'm going to do is place this back on here, over that spot, over that oval, and then cut it out, okay? Okay, so this is what it looks like. So now what we're going to do is glue in these two sides, or both sides, okay? So I'm going to take my liquid glue. This gives it a more finished edge. You could cut those off, but then it doesn't look as nice. See how clean that looks now? So much cleaner. So this is going to go out, and this is going to go just like that, okay? So we're going to attach this inside. So we're going to put liquid glue here and liquid glue on these side panels. Now, if you're like me and you struggle, you don't have to glue these down. You can cheat like me. I say I'll get glue everywhere if I glue those down. Now I'm going to get my bone folder. You really do need your bone folder for this part, and then press. Now, once that's there, you can glue those down, because see, I want to glue this also, but I didn't want to glue it until I got the bottom of the box in there. So now I'm just going to add, and maybe I'm doing this the hard way, and for myself, it's actually easier to do it this way, because the other way I would just get glue everywhere. I always say I'm a fumble fingers half the time. It's shocking that I'm actually good at paper crafting. Okay, that's good enough. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid glue here. And this step does not have to be done. You don't have to close these. You can leave it unsealed, if that makes sense. But I think it looks a little bit more finished if you put a little liquid glue on it. Sorry, I got too much glue. It's a good thing that stuff dries clear. I think this box is so cute that I know it's a tad bit confusing, but I promise once you make a couple, you'll love it. You'll absolutely love it. Okay, now we're ready to decorate it. So we're gonna take that Bermuda Bay layer. That's the back of our box. This is the front. So we're gonna sandwich these. And this. So what we want to do, well, let's go ahead and add our sprinkles, and then we're going to build the little ice cream. So I'm going to get a little bit of liquid glue, just like on every other project today. And now I'm trying to remember which project did I make first. Is this the first project, or is this the third project, or I don't remember the order in which they're going. Okay, so the middle one's gonna go under the R. I always start with the middle. Just I kind of feel like it's a little bit easier to build it in the other directions once you have the middle one. And they're a little bit crooked, or not symmetrical, I should say. That looks pretty good. Always make sure you keep your cap on the putty end, okay? Now, let's add this to the box first. So I'm just gonna put some liquid glue on the back. And just center it somewhat, just like that. And then the little cone is going to go here. And this is going to get popped up. So we get a dimensional. Maybe I should have brought it over a little bit to the right. Oh, you know why? Because I stamped the image a little to the left, and it needs to go more towards this edge. So compare the two. So stamp your greeting more to the right, okay? That's why my ice cream is too far to the left. So we need to add our ribbon. So I'm taking the tulle with the linen thread. Again, don't forget that this polka dot ribbon is retiring, sadly. I have used it a ton this year, like almost on every project. So most of you have probably already purchased it, but I just want to give a shout out. And for all I know, by the time this video goes live, it may have sold out. Things sell out so quickly nowadays. Kind of in every industry, not just paper crafting, but everything. It's really difficult to find furniture right now. Okay, so trim the ends. We'll clean that up in just a second. Okay, just want to fix this, make it pretty. And then we're going to make one of the little gift cards, one of the little 3x3 cards. So you get the supplies in your class packet to make 4, but we're just going to make 1. There we go. Now, Old Olive 6x3. We're going to score it at 3 inches. Fold it over. Then take this measures 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. So that's the one thing about this class is You will be cutting your own designer series paper, but all the measurements will be listed for you, so it won't be hard. Okay, there's that. Then this is going to be in your packet as well, so you're going to add that to the front. And then we're going to add the greeting with a dimensional. So put one on there. Now all of the greetings, not all of them, but several of them in the, what is it, itty bitty birthdays. So there's, it's sure to be a fun day, it's your day, awesome at any age, and then happy belated birthday. So these are the 4 that are included. Now, if you have Blackberry Bliss cardstock, you're going to have a ton of that Blackberry Bliss paper. And so you could do Blackberry Bliss. I'm actually out of this cardstock, so you're getting 2 Old Olive. Okay, that wraps up this project. Okay, so this wraps up our class. I hope you've enjoyed the projects. If you need anything, let me know. And don't forget to like my video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much. Bye. One of the Clever Clisp. For this one, we're just